Hey everyone, it's your Peacekeeper coming at you with a video that should hopefully answer a number of questions that you guys have been asking me about how do I change crosshairs, how do I get this or that on my screen, and it may come as a shock to some, but the only mods that I run in this game anymore are skin mods that change the blast bag colors on New Orleans, Iowa, Missouri, and Montana to black. And if you're confused as to what that is, it's these little black bloomers here is really what they're, barrel bloomers is what they're called. You notice on ships like the Alabama, the North Carolina, they're black. But if you go to the default Missouri or Iowa or Montana, they're white. And the New Orleans is also white. They were never white in real life. So that was the only mod that I run, which means every other question you've asked me about crosshairs, about team panels, about damage indicators, all of that stuff is found in-game, and I'm going to show you how to get to it right now. So, you are in-game currently, go to the upper left-hand corner to your menu, go to Settings, and on this first screen, about the only thing that I really check on this, aside from all the various, quality stuff, is Reduced Fire Effect, and that's going to reduce that fire effect frame to nothing because I hate the way it looks. Nothing really in audio that's really worth doing. I turned down my music all the way, and I would recommend enabling voice chat if you plan on divisioning with people, because this will allow you to hear them. Even if you don't have a microphone, I still recommend enabling it, because if you division up with somebody and you're not using TeamSpeak or something, you can use the in-game voice chat settings. They are here. And if you don't have this clicked, they can't talk to you via anything aside from the division chat by typing it out. The real moneymakers, though, are in the controls panel, which I imagine many of you haven't looked at this panel in a while. A lot of things have changed. Number one, if you're looking to change the crosshair, here is your option to change your crosshair. Just hit the select crosshair button. You've got static and dynamic crosshairs. I run static, and if you click on the name here, number 9 is what I'm running. So if you've been asking, that's what it is. You can see that there's other changes here that are a little less intrusive or more intrusive, depending on how you look at it. I prefer static number 9 just simply because it gives me a good balance of all the leading lines without taking up all of my screen like the Tic Tac for Isaron modded crosshair did. Interesting side note, if you are going to run a modified crosshair in this game, that is going to replace your Type 1 static crosshair. So if you've modded it to add different crosshairs, it's under the Type 1. So I'm going to go back to my static number 9 here. So that's probably one of the more important ones. That's one that I get asked a lot. Another one that I get asked about is team panels. There it is, right there. Going further, I personally like to use what they call detailed ribbons. That's the ribbons that show up on the lower right-hand side of the screen that tell you whether or not your shots ricocheted, penetrated, over-penetrated, or shattered. That's just handy for me to know if I need to change where I'm aiming. Also over here is alternative battle interface mode. If you've ever been playing the game without this enabled and you hit Alt, that's what this brings up. It brings it up permanently. It says it may affect game performance, but quite honestly, I've not seen it. I guess, I have a gaming computer, so maybe it does impact lower end computers. I didn't personally notice any change, but it brings up like their name and it brings up their health bar above their ship so you can see which ships need to be focused down easier. One other one that I always recommend people do is the terrain hit indicator that's here. This brings up a little icon on your screen that shows if your shells are going to impact land before they impact wherever it is your target is. That's very useful for shooting over islands. It's not 100% perfect, but it does give you a pretty good idea. So I definitely recommend enabling that. Here's your damage indicator over here on the right-hand side. This will tell you how much damage that you've done over the course of a battle. And the smoke screen timer and smoke screen boundaries are both crucial if you're going to be running any ship that has any form of smoke. So you need to enable those two if you are running smoke. These used to be mods, actually, and now they are part of the game. Very, very useful mods to have in the game. One other thing that I always recommend people do, especially if you've just started out, the collision avoidance system is going to take control of your ship away from you if you're headed towards an island. That may seem like a good thing until you realize that it actually works counterintuitively to the way that you would expect it to. Like, you'll be going towards an island and it will turn you in the wrong way. Like, you will want to do something aside from the direction it's turning you. It's just a hassle. I disable it. I find that more often than not, it actually ends up running me into the island than it does keeping me from hitting the island. I disable it and I just pay attention to my mini-map. Really, none of these other options on here. I mean, you can see automatically switch cameras between the main battery mounts. That's if you're shooting, if you're only your rear turret can shoot, it'll switch your perspective to the rear turret instead of the front turret in your cameras. Track the lock target should be enabled by default. Most of the stuff is enabled by default, but really it's these ones down here that are good ones to have. Show both main battery and torpedo tube loading indicators. Definitely recommend that if you're on a destroyer and you're trying to remember when your torpedoes are coming up. Enable AA and secondary guns if priority target is set. What that's going to do is if you have your anti-aircraft guns turned off or your secondaries turned off in, like, say, a destroyer, if you control click on something, either a ship or an aircraft, it will automatically enable your AA guns and secondary guns for you so that you don't have to remember to turn them off by pressing the P key. So those are kind of the various interface mods that I'm using. I guess they're not really technically mods because they're all in the game, but the big ones that I get are crosshairs, damage indicator, smoke screen boundaries, and smoke screen timer, as well as the detailed rimids. Those options right there just give you so much information, and they give it to you for free. I just can't help but run without them. It feels awkward to run without them. But anyway, I hope this video helped you guys out. If it did, leave a like or a comment down in the comment section. And if you haven't already, subscribe. Thank you for watching.